Well, let's jump into it. Thank you so much, Ivan, for willing to come on here and share your testimonial today. I really appreciate it. It's through stories like this that we're going to be able to spread the word, get it out to as many people as possible, and hopefully change as many lives as possible. So thank you very much for that.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Patrick.
Yeah. How did you hear about Hostage Tape?
You know, I thought about this, and I assume probably just an Instagram ad, you know, maybe TikTok. Something that came up, I really wasn't actually looking for it when I got the initial ad. So for whatever reason, I was targeted, just being a 33-year-old male. I was aware of Hostage Tape. It wasn't until I circled back around the Hostage Tape when I actually needed it that I bought it and kind of interacted with everything. You know, I think everybody else that kind of sees it, I think, you know, I went through the TikTok and saw all the crazy videos and, you know, people with tape on their mouth and kind of learning about it and really the benefits of, you know, mouth taping and things like that. But definitely first skeptical before joining.
Absolutely. I understand that. Were there some things that you were noticing that like problems that you wanted to fix then? And which kind of led you to then click on the product and say, this might work for me?
Snoring. I myself actually have sleep apnea. So diagnosed moderate sleep apnea. And it's something you know, I mean, you don't hear yourself sleep, right? That's the problem with snoring and, you know, things like that. And my wife, who's been my partner for some years, really never complained about my snoring. We've slept in the same bed for several years. And we shared a small apartment. This time around with her second pregnancy, became very sensitive to her sleep. And finally was just like, I'm going to the couch. And that was pretty tough. You know, you sleep with your partner for several years, something you get used to, and having her officially kind of just move out to the couch, and especially being pregnant, right? Like, kind of made me feel like crap, you know, and eventually I was like, I'll sleep on the couch, you stay on the bed kind of thing. And, you know, I'd wake up in an empty bed, and honestly, it was heartbreaking. It really kind of just brought up some strains in our relationship. So that's when I went out seeking remedies, you know. So having sleep apnea, I went to an ENT, talked to him about mouth tape, right? And he was like, absolutely, man, do it. He's like, you know, he was a believer himself, which was interesting. And he had mentioned that author who wrote the book, I think, Breathe. So he was like, absolutely, go for it. Did the sleep study, got approved for the CPAP, and then stopped using mouth tape because it was only helping a little bit with my snoring. I think I was still just kind of getting used to it, ripping it off and things like that. And once I got approved for the CPAP, I went to a wide mouth mask, and I could not sleep. If you've ever seen somebody with one of those things walking around like Bane from Batman.
Yeah, they look huge.
Yeah, and I could not sleep. I'd wear it for like maybe an hour, maybe two would be the most I would get. So we just were right back to square one with my wife saying, sorry, buddy, like back to the couch. And I went back to Hostage Tape, and I was doing some research, and I found other sleep apnea users who were using the nose pillow option with tape, some people with Hostage Tape, and said that was one, the most comfortable, two, the most best combination for avoiding mouth leaks, which for people who have sleep apnea would understand what that means. And I was like, I have to try this. You know, I'm not sleeping, still snoring, still dealing with sleep apnea, and again, waking up in an empty bed. So I switched to the nose pillow, started back with Hostage Tape, and the first night that I used that combination, I got 7.5 hours of sleep. And because my sleep is monitored through my CPAP and gives me a health score, I got a health score of 100 out of 100 on that first night, which was insane.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Previously scoring like 27, you know, just really low scores, which was really just disheartening too. You know, it's like you find this remedy, you find something that you think is going to be the answer to your problems, and it wasn't working by any means. And now I've been sleeping pretty awesome. It's been a short while. I've been doing it for just about a month. So.
Right. That's fantastic, though. I mean, that's such a struggle, right? You're just like what you said. You get the CPAP machine and think that it's going to work out, and then it's like you're still back to square one. Your wife's still not able to sleep. You're not able to sleep. That's such a struggle.
Yeah, it was tough. And now, I mean, reason I'm doing this interview and things like that is really kind of sharing the community around it, right? The transparency and kind of the issue. And I've been very vocal about it because honestly, it's the last thing you want to admit, that your wife's not sleeping in your bed with you as a man. But having been more comfortable with it, I've been talking to my family about it. And, we're all masculine men who don't want to talk about our issues or our problems. But my father recently went through a health scare and kind of just brought out some more vulnerability in all of us. And turns out that my dad just recently got diagnosed with sleep apnea. My brother just recently did a test. So I don't know if it was just my father's health scare or what that just kind of gave us all this extra push to start taking care of ourselves a little better. Just realizing like we all deal with this, and we all struggle with it. And I told him, my solution, and it was my brother who came over, was like, sleep with tape on your mouth, and I was like, yeah, man, every night, and it's kind of this weird, crazy look, but if it works, you really can't knock it either.
Absolutely, and that's what this is all about too. You mentioned that you had seen some people with CPAP and then saying the tape helped them. You tried it out; it's helping, and now, spreading the word to people who haven't heard about it before. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a winning combination for me because now with the nose pillow option, I'm a side sleeper, right? So I'm able to sleep on my side comfortably, which is huge. It's just 9-day difference.
That's so awesome. That is so awesome. How has your relationship with your wife improved since using Hostage Tape? Have you noticed that she's able to, sleep in the bed with you and not have to move to the couch, or you haven't moved to the couch? Has that improved?
Yeah, the first night she slept all the way through the night, so I got to wake up, and she was next to me. She's going to kill me for saying this, but I asked for a celebration, being that she was still in the same bed with me, which was a reason for me to celebrate. I mean, having slept in a separate bed for, at that point, almost 4 months with her pregnancy. And I think just communication, right? You're able to actually lay in bed, hang out, talk, that kind of comfortability without that anxiety of knowing, especially from her standpoint of I just want to go to bed. I'm just going to go to the couch now, right? There was definitely nights where she wouldn't even start in bed. She was like, I'm just going straight to the couch. I'm not going to play the game of getting up and doing all that. And I think mood, right? Kind of that irritability factor. We were both in much better moods because we were getting better sleep. So, I think we were both just crabby.
Yeah.
It's probably the best word for it, so that has changed a lot. We're definitely in a better place, and it gets hard. It's your partner. It's your person that you spend, your life with. And it's who you want to wake up to. Right, is the whole idea. Hopefully, if it's a successful marriage, and when you're not waking up to that person, that was pretty tough for both of us. And now we're making it work. Yeah, she sleeps in our bed every single night and wakes up, and it's awesome.
That's so awesome. That's so great to hear. And there are so many people out there that have those similar stories. Alex, the founder of Hostage Tape, a similar story where it's just sleeping led to that separation and problems in a relationship. I know for myself, I've been kicked out of the bed because I've been snoring, or it's an elbow in the back or a pillow across the face. And you don't even notice, or sometimes you do, but it's, like you said, it's that irritability that is just leading to these different tensions. Both of you are on low sleep. You're more prone to be snippy with each other and a bit more crabby. sometimes you don't even realize it until you get a good night's sleep, and you're like, man, I feel so good, and everything seems to change. You're more patient, you're more kind, you're in a better mood.
Absolutely. Having gone, 33 years, right? When I'm not sure when my sleep apnea probably started, but it's probably somewhere in my mid-teens. I just constantly was tired all throughout my life. I was sleeping in class, sleeping wherever, getting tired behind the wheel. That was terrifying, right, as I got older. And you don't realize just how important that sleep is for your overall health, right? I have more energy. I've been going to the gym more, getting in better shape, just the whole 9 yards, right? If you don't start and begin with sleep, then you're just kind of at a loss. You can't do anything.
Absolutely. And sleep seems to be that snowball that starts the avalanche of just better health. Like you mentioned, going to the gym more, just feeling better. What other health benefits have you noticed just over this past month that you've kind of started maybe working out more, diet, just feeling better since starting to use Hostage Tape?
Just that. The whole avalanche effect, like you said, it's a good way of putting it, right? The more energy, you're able to get to the gym. I've lost weight. It's a mood lifter, right? Because I'm just available more, right? As being a dad to my daughter and working a full time, it's hard to find that balance, right? Saying today I'm not going to go to the gym, or today I'm not going to do this because I simply don't have the energy for it. And it's having that energy has now allowed me to not have to make those decisions, and say I do have time for these things because I do have energy for it. So I'm going to hang out with my daughter when I come home from work, spend time with my wife, and then still have energy to go to the gym because I know that I'm not going to pay for it tomorrow. I'm still going to get a good night's sleep and be able to do it all over again. So it's opened up a lot of opportunities, really.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's the avalanche, like you said. It's you're not having to budget your energy anymore. You just know that, hey, when I go to bed, I'm going to be tired, but then when I wake up, I'm going to be refreshed. And there's not going to be that midday crash or feeling like you can't get through the workday, that sort of stuff. It's really incredible. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
One side benefit, drinking less caffeine. I still have my morning coffee, right? And maybe I'll have an afternoon pick-me-up, but sodas, right? I used to rely on a lot of sodas and kind of sugary drinks to really pick me up too. And I've lost that habit. I'll have a Coke maybe out to dinner or something, but I used to be a Coke every day kind of guy, just because you're sick of the coffee, you need something else, and it's Coke for lunch to really find that energy or that kind of sugar boost. Haven't needed it, which then plays the full circle right back again to the diet and the whole 9 yards. So having just one thing in balance really starts to kind of just affect everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Have your coworkers noticed anything? You mentioned Coke for lunch. You were having it every day. If you're starting to cut it out, have they been saying anything or?
Not really. Today I had a conversation. Somebody made a comment about my sorry lunch because I'm trying to eat healthier. It was a pita bread stuffed with chicken. Kind of, is everything okay at home? Kind of. Nobody's noticed, but luckily having worked remote, I've been able to, like you said, kind of budget that energy a lot better. I used to be the guy that would fall asleep at work, and talk about detriment to your brand and how people kind of think of you. There was a story of once I fell asleep at my desk talking to my manager at one of my first jobs. Now I was going out more, I was drinking a lot more as a kid, but also I wasn't sleeping as much either. So you put on bad habits, drinking, not sleeping. It was near narcolepsy, just how tired I was. And that would bring on a lot of anxiety too for me. And I just don't even think about it. It's not even a factor for me to think that, I'm going to fall asleep at work or whatever the case may be. So that for me has given me a new level of confidence too, which is awesome.
That's really cool. Yeah, falling asleep in front of your manager. I can't imagine that would do a lot for your career. That's probably one of those things that it's tough to get over, I would imagine.
Yeah, do not recommend.
No, absolutely not. You mentioned I think it was your brother who was asking you about mouth tape. Did he get into it, or has he started to use it? Are you pushing him to?
Yeah, not yet. He's in denial, I would say, right, about his struggles with sleep apnea too. Like I said, right, it even though it affects all these other people, you still feel that you're getting enough sleep because you are sleeping. You just don't know how bad that sleep is. So it's a funny thing, I think, for people to come to terms with. I had trouble with it too, kind of that realization that my problem was affecting somebody else, right? With my wife. I think he's coming around to it. Like I said, I tell my wife, it's everybody's journey, right? They have to figure it out on their own. So just try and support him, right? And kind of push him and keep talking about it. And ironically, one of his buddies, we were on a golf trip recently, brought like his CPAP machine. And I was like, this is a real thing, man. Like, you're not sleeping and you're not getting oxygen to your brain. Like all these things, right? To just, as we get older as men and we have to kind of confront and figure out. I think he's coming to terms with it. But like I said, it's really hard to do because it's such a funny thing to realize that, I felt like I slept fine, right? Like I got a little bit of energy. I'm still functioning throughout the day. It's not until you realize how good of a sleep you can get before you realize how detrimental your sleep was beforehand.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that James Nestor talks about in his book is just how people who don't sleep a lot think that they sleep normal because that's just become their standard. And until you start to hack your sleep or until you start to improve it, you don't realize how bad it was. But once you've set the new standard for yourself, if you ever go back, you just realize this is the way I was sleeping before was so terrible. And you just feel like you've been sapped of all energy.
Yeah, I guess we could call it a relapse. Right, Friday night, just got home late, I still slept with tape, but having sleep apnea, right, it affects still my overall sleep quality. But I didn't feel like setting up the CPAP, doing all that, so I didn't get the best sleep, but still better sleep than I would be getting from, sleeping with mouth tape alone. Benefits for me were like not waking up with like a sore throat, dryness, just overall bad breath, just things like that. But I slept without my CPAP and I didn't sleep great. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. Next day I had to take a nap. I was that beat because, like you said, it's a difference in the quality of that sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's almost scary to think of where you were before you started the CPAP and hostage tape. And it's scary to think of what would the next 5 years have looked like if you hadn't got the CPAP machine, if you hadn't started to use hostage tape. That's the scary part to think about.
Yeah, priorities changed for me, right? Having been a dad and thinking of that and having to consider that. It's a funny thing to say, like my life isn't my own anymore, right? I have duty and responsibility to other people. So that was a huge motivation for me, right? My daughter, I have a funny clip of a video of where I would put her to sleep and she was making fun of me snoring. And she literally was making fun of me snoring and literally told me leave. And this is my little codependent 16-month-old daughter who loves sleeping with daddy and mommy. But my snoring was so bad. She was like, Daddy, no, leave, get out. And it's a favorite memory of mine, and it's really cute, but that's kind of sad if your daughter doesn't even want you in the room because you're keeping her up. So I realized something had to be changed.
Right. And that's the beautiful thing. I've got two little sons. It's just the beautiful thing of having kids is you're solving this problem and knowing that you're going to be able to give them this gift of, hey, you have more energy. You're probably going to be able to be with them more. But also as they get older and as they experience like maybe these problems or snoring or mouth breathing, it's like, hey, I know what that's like, and I also know how we can change that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You've solved a huge problem, which is really cool.
Yeah. And it's that recognition, right? Like I said, like not even knowing that my father had kind of dealt with it and it was a problem, like bringing the visibility to that is so important, right? My daughter does have a little snore, so we're already like, all right, we got to stay on top of that, right? Because it's such a big thing. My wife tells a small anecdote. She's in education, and there was a little girl who just constantly was getting in trouble, just very irritable, just mood swings. Got her tonsils removed because she was snoring so much and wasn't getting sleep. Night and day, just different kid. Just stopped showing up in the office, stopped getting in trouble because all of a sudden she was getting sleep. And it just goes to show how important that factor really is.
Yeah. That's great. That's crazy to think about. Since looking at mouth taping and all this sort of things, again, having two kids of my own, the eldest is coming up on 4, but I'll tuck him in and then, put him to bed, wait till he falls asleep and just come back in and check everything okay. One of the things I've been looking for now is he sleeping with his mouth open? Is he breathing through his mouth? And usually he's pretty good. His mouth is closed. There'll be a couple nights that his mouth is open and I'll just pinch his lips together, maybe for 15, 20 seconds, and I'll see like the deep breath start, and then I'll just let go. And yeah, my wife thinks I'm a little crazy when I do that. But hey, if I can prevent all these issues, I think I'm doing a good thing.
Yeah, that's something that I haven't really seen. Obviously, you having the energy, but like the lung capacity, like my breaths are so much deeper when I'm falling asleep. It's just like full. I just feel my whole chest cavity kind of deflating and inflating, which is interesting for me. Having, I don't know if it's just shorter breaths or whatever through my mouth, but it's helped me kind of meditate too. And kind of help myself fall asleep faster. But yeah, just full breaths, deep and long, and it's crazy how much of an effect it has.
That is so cool. This is such a powerful story that you're sharing. It's awesome. It's what keeps me going. It's what keeps everyone going. Just hearing stories like this, because it honestly changed our lives. And then as we got it out there, there's just more of these stories coming back where it's changing people's lives. So this is so awesome.
I appreciate the opportunity and the chance. Like I said, it came in as a skeptic, leaving as a believer, and definitely any chance I get to, share that story with other people. And, it's a problem, and it's a funny thing to have, but there's options out there to help you fix it, like hostage tape. So again, thanks for the opportunity.
That's really cool. Well, thank you very much for this. I'll be sure to send you a note about joining the Facebook group and an update when this gets put on our YouTube channel. So just wanted to say thanks so much, Ivan, for giving us the time and getting the word out there and sharing your story.